Very good afternoon, students. Today, in this particular topic of cross cultural management, we'll talk about international assignments and expatriate management. In this particular chapter, mostly we'll be highlighting on the reasons for using expatriates, the challenges that are faced by the expatriates, why expatriates fail, what are the various factors which influence the success of foreign assignment, how the selection of expatriates is done, how is the performance measured, and lastly, repatriation. So the first thing that we'll be covering over here is that what is the main reason of using expatriates? So the first reason is control and coordination. So in case the parent company sends its own senior staff from the headquarters to the new subsidiary, then it can maintain the necessary control over its operations. So it can control them. That is why people use expatriates. So experienced staff can also help in transmitting the corporate culture. So control is especially important in the early stages of a venture. For example, if an Indian IT company is setting up operations in China, it will assign a senior member to its new company in order to ensure that the operations are in tune with the headquarters strategy. Secondly, local expertise is unavailable because when a MNC is setting up operations in a particular country, there may not be any suitable qualified personnel available for the required post. So this happens particularly when MNCs from developed countries set up operations in developing countries. So when local expertise is not available, it is easier for the MNC to deploy its expatriates. Then you have complexity of recruitment process in the host country. Even if the qualified host country nationals are available, it is sometimes difficult to execute the recruitment process in the new country in an unfamiliar condition. So in this case, it is actually easier to use expatriates. For example, if a German company is setting up its subsidiary in Malaysia, in order to recruit local people, it will first have to set up a process for attracting application through different medias and design a culturally sensitive selection process. So the system of education and ranking of different credentials has to be studied. So the recruitment and selection process has to be according to the labor laws. So you can see over here that there is a lot of complexity of recruitment process in the host country. So that is why it is better to use expatriates. Then transfer of knowledge and organizational culture. So the parent company may wish to transfer knowledge and expertise to the local staff so that the subsidiary can be done independently. So sometimes the host country government may insist that the MNC transfer knowledge to the local employees. In both these cases, expatriates may be used to train the local staff and build their capabilities. Then we have management development. Expatriates are deployed when the organization believes that the international experience is important for management development. Having a cadre of expatriate managers actually also are known to each other and are working in different locations. It helps to keep communication channels open and maintain the corporate as a coherent whole. This also develops networking process between the headquarters and its subsidiaries. Then we have ethnocentric beliefs. So the top management of some MNCs actually maybe they may be ethnocentric and they believe that the parent country nationals is superior to the other nationals. So the MNCs may therefore prefer to send parent company nationals on assignments to its international locations. Then we have financial considerations. In some cases, if the MNC is from a developing country, then hiring employees from other countries can be more expensive than hiring parent country nationals. So this apparently ethnocentric approach is based not on ethnocentrism but rather on financial criteria. For example, an India or Chinese firm will find it much cheaper to send Indians to work in their subsidiaries in the US or Europe rather than hiring US or European nationals for the job. So these are the various reasons for using the expatriates. Now I'll be talking about the various challenges that are actually faced by the expatriates. So the various challenges are faced by the expatriates are first of all is the career of the spouse. So if the manager is married or has a partner, then his or her partner may have to give up their job to move to another country. So this is a high cost to pay, both in terms of immediate loss of salary and disruption of the spouse career path. This has become one of the biggest issues companies have had to face when choosing expatriates. So it is more common for a woman to give up her career and follow her husband to another country. The second lies is children's education. If the manager relocates with school going children, the children would have to adjust to a new school and make new friends. So, while many cities across the world have international schools which follow international curriculum, the process of adjusting to a new school and a new culture can be traumatic for the children. So, while the expatriate is busy with his or her new task, the family can find it extremely stressful to adapt to the new culture. Then you have the challenging locations. And when posting to countries in Western Europe and North America are actually considered attractive by many managers, posting to Africa and Central America and South Asia or even Russia does not actually appeal the other people. China, Brazil, and India have been identified as very attractive markets, but as extremely challenging for Western expatriates. So these are challenges that particular locations hold for the expatriates. Then we have cost of living. So you can see that the um, cost of living in new location like some cities like Paris, London, Tokyo, New York, Frankfurt are very expensive to live. So the compensation package offered to the expatriate may not be enough to cover all his expenses. Then we can talk about the cultural distance. The cultural difference between the country of origin of the manager and the country of posting can play an important role in the decision making. If decision making of the expatriate, whether he will actually accept the new assignment or he will not accept the new assignment. Then there are various other family reasons also. Like besides their immediate family, managers may have other family responsibilities like after the elderly or sick parents, siblings or other relatives. It may not be easy for a person to pack up and leave for an extended period of time to another country. So these are the various actually challenges which are faced by the expatriates when a person is moving from one country to the other country for the job. Then we can talk about the expatriate failure. So the expatriate there are various reasons for expatriate failures. Expatriate failure occurs when the expatriate fails to perform up to the expectations or the expat is forced to return prematurely. So mostly between 10 to 20% of all the US managers sent abroad return early because of job dissatisfaction or difficulties in adjusting to foreign country. So of the managers who stay, about one third do not perform satisfactorily. So the expatriate is not able to perform up to the expectations and he's forced to return prematurely. There are various consequences of expatriate failure. First is lost business due to disruption. So, an expatriate working in a country would have made business contracts, established networks, and start projects. The sudden departure of the expatriate will negatively impact all the projects. Second is wasted relocation cost is there. All the money spent on round trip air tickets, packing, moving, cost of legal paper, work permits will be lost if the expatriate returns early. Then wasted preparation cost is there. All the money spent on pre-departure training and any visits to the host country prior to the moving will be wasted if the expatriate returns prematurely. Then there can be financial losses to the host country. Then there is damage to the local relation with customers, suppliers, and other community members. So expatriates are often in senior positions, and if they fail in their objectives, there are many instances where customers, suppliers, and other community members would have been involved. Then we have the negative impact on organizational culture. The entry and exit of a manager into an organization always has a disruptive influence. Expatriate failure does not happen overnight. Therefore, would be there will be many instances of escalation of issues, interpersonal conflicts can be there, failure to complete tasks before the final departure of the expatriate. So all these instances create a negative impact on the organizational climate. Then there can be negative influence on foreign assignments. So when other managers in the organization hear about expatriate failure and inadequate organizational support, they will not want to take up any foreign assignment. This will make coordination of the foreign operation more difficult. Then we can talk the success of a foreign assignment. So there are various factors which can actually help in the or you can say contribute to the success of a foreign assignment. So it can be at the level of the manager. or it can be at the level of the firm, it can be at the level of the assignment location. So if you can say that the factors which influence at the level of the firm are the nature and extent of cross-cultural training that has been provided, the nature of relocation support that has been given, the communication systems between the headquarters and the subsidiaries, the mentor in host country and the mentors at the headquarters, the role clarity and role conflicts, the incentives for foreign assignments, the repatriation plans. So these are the factors which are affecting the success of a foreign assignment at the level of the firm. Then factors which are actually due to the assignment location. It can be the cultural distance. The greater the cultural distance between the parent country and the host country, the more difficult the adjustment process becomes. Then there can be economic development. The better the infrastructure and level of economic development in the country, the easier is the adjustment process. Then you have the political risk. If the host country regulation and policies support multinational and foreigners, it is easier to succeed in one's assignment. Then there can be various individual factors also. So for it can be self efficacy and personal initiative. Self efficacy is the belief in one's ability to do something. Expatriates need a lot of self confidence as they face a lot of unknown when they live and work in a new country. Then secondly, they have to adjust to a new country can be extremely stressful, so they have to manage the stress. The expatriates who are able to manage stress are better performance. Then the expatriates have to have the substitution ability. Expatriates should have the willingness to substitute their familiar activities with alternative activities. Then there should be relational and networking abilities as well. Developing good relations with the host country nationals is key to an expatriate success. It has been shown that expatriates who developed friendships with host nationals are more effective in their assignments than expatriates who do not develop friendships. Then success of foreign assignments. First is level one, managerial factors. Self-efficacy and personal initiative is there. Then there is stress management, relationship networking skills, there's perception abilities, the first the family situations. So these are the various factors which help in the success of a foreign assignment. Then we already talked about the success of foreign assignment, that is the firm level factors, that is the extent of cross-cultural training provided, the relocation support, the communication system, the mentors in the host and the home country, the role clarity, the repatriation plan, etc. Then we also talked about the success, which is depending upon the location factors like the cultural distance, the level of economic development, the political risk and crime, the government regulation, and other various other challenges. Now, how are the expatriates actually selected? So, the selection is mostly based upon the references through the structured interviews, the self nomination, cultural awareness assessment, behavioral assessment, psychological tests, and cognitive tests. So, while selecting an expatriate, these are the various methods that are included. Then, if we talk about the performance management, the performance of an expatriate management system is evaluated on the basis of, we can say, actually performance management is actually a very challenging task even in a domestic setting, so it becomes more complicated in the international arena. Some tasks are more amenable to measurement than others. So if an expatriate has an objective of increasing sales of a particular product in a particular region or setting up an office in a particular country, it is relatively easy to measure the completion of that particular task. However, tasks like transfer of corporate culture, building relationships, knowledge transfers are more difficult to measure. So it can be evaluated on the basis of premature return of an expatriate. The premature return of the expatriate implies that the assignment is a failure. So, as we have already discussed, that there are several implications in terms of financial losses and disruption of business. So, premature return of expatriates actually helps to measure the performance. Then turnover of the expatriates upon the repatriation. If an expatriate leaves the organization soon after returning to his or her home country, it can be considered a loss for the company. So the loss of the employee means the loss of international management expertise, which was gathered during the overseas assignment. In the globalized world, the expertise is greatly valued. Then you have the financial costs of the assignment. Expatriate assignments can be very expensive, as companies often pay several costs, including relocation costs, housing taxes, home visits, allowances, children fees, etc., which may not be given to domestic employees. The cost implications of expatriate assignments are discussed in detail. Okay, then we have the performance of the individual expatriates, meaning measuring the performance of the expatriate is a key challenge for the companies. Expatriates are often caught between the conflicting demands of the headquarters and the subsidiary. Other factors that complicate expatriate performer management are cross-cultural differences and geographical differences. So these are the various ways in which the performance of the expatriates can be measured. Now, if we talk about the repatriation. So, repatriation is common challenges that are faced by the repatriates. Actually, what is repatriation? Repatriation is the return and adjustment of the expatriates to their home country after an extended stay abroad. So, repatriation management can often be more difficult than expatriate management. The biggest single problem faced in the management of expatriates is has been the repatriation of employees. So there has been many studies that have shown that one-fifth of the employees who complete an overseas assignment want to leave the company when they return, and less than half of them receive promotion upon return. So so these are all serious issues, as foreign assignments are then perceived as being unattractive because most of the repatriates believe that the re-entry position is less satisfying than their overseas assignment. So then there are various change of values as well. The home environment can be seen to be very foreign, as the expatriate family may have imbibed new values in the foreign countries. So there is change of values. Then changes in the home company. In today's fast changing world, companies are constantly changing. So a re-engineering, a restructuring are common practices. So the mobility of employees is also very high. So the expatriate may come back to his or her parent company and find that people are unfamiliar and the systems have changed. So a returning expatriate may feel like a stranger in his own parent company. Secondly, the new role, the expatriate has to adjust to a new role upon returning. So this role may require new skills, building new relations. Even worse, the role may be demotion also. So the it depends if he is able to accept it or not. Then there is lack of recognition. The expatriate may not feel appreciated upon return to the home company, so the successes abroad may evoke no interest in his or her colleagues. So, if the expatriate lived and worked in a more affluent host country, anything he or she may say be considered as showing off. So, there can be lack of recognition. Then there is loss of special allowances and benefits. Often, expatriates are given financial incentives to work in different countries. American and European companies pay high hardship allowance for working in countries like China and India. So, expatriates may also get benefits such as chauffeur driven cars, cooks, maids, education allowances for children, and vacation allowances in the host countries. So, all these allowances not maybe not be available to expatriates when they return to their home country. Then the living conditions, especially when moving from developed to the developing nations. So whether the expatriate is moving from more affluent country to less affluent or vice versa, adjusting to new systems is always very difficult. So the expatriate has to learn how things function or do not function in the home country. Then there is loss of status as well. So many returning expatriates lose the autonomy, the freedom, and the social status they enjoyed in their global assignments. So they go from being a big fish into a little pond to a little fish in a big pond. So it is evident that readjusting to life in the home country can be difficult, and employees can go through a traumatic period when they turn. So the longer the period of time the expertise has to spend abroad, the more difficult it is to adjust to life in the parent country. So these are the various challenges that are faced in repatriation. So how can the repatriation process be improved? So before a person departs from the host country, he should be explained about the re-entry career options. During his stay in the host country, appointing home and host country mentor should be there. Organizing frequent home office visits should be there. 6 months before the Return the preparation should be done for the family for reverse culture shock. Then they should be provided with the relocation support. Then there should be clarifying of financial and HR policies. And upon return, they should be welcomed. They should be provided opportunities for knowledge sharing. They should be provided family support services. They should be provided with counseling services. And lastly, 3 months after the return, assessing the expatriate and family adjustment should be done, and providing services should be done if it is necessary. So these are the various things which can be done so that the repatriation process becomes more easy. So for today, this much only, students. Thank you. In the next class, we'll continue with another topic. For today, this much from my side.